Hello, people. My name is Leora Israel, and I'll be doing this live today on behalf of the Purposely Awakened magazine. Today, we'll have Deandre Jones. He will be joining us. He is a public figure and an influencer. I will be super excited to talk to him. I'm trying not to stay excited all the time. Um, so yes, you guys, please stay tuned for that. Y'all, I'm gonna be straight up with y'all. So I just went to the movies and I saw. Oh, wait. Okay, so I'm not even gonna get into my details because it looks like DeAndre has joined us. So give me just a moment while I'll go ahead and connect with him. Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, my name is Leora Israel. I will be doing this live on behalf of the Purposely Awakened magazine. How are you today?
I am doing amazing. I can't complain. Things have been going very well for me.
Nice. Well, since you got into that, can you kind of tell us what's going on? It seems like you're very excited.
Yeah, so my name is Deandre Jones. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a elected official. I'm a community activist. I do a lot. I wear a lot of hats. This is actually one of my company hats that I've created. I collaborate Forbes magazine released an article 2015, and the city that I stay in is actually the second worst city behind Milwaukee, I believe, for economic development for people of color. And so I started working at this faith-based nonprofit. I am a spiritual person, but I'm never the one to knock anybody's beliefs. But I actually started at this faith-based nonprofit. I just started working there, and we were doing like snow removal and stuff like that. It was winter time. I actually started working there January 1st of 2018. And I told them I'm a natural born leader. And I'm like, hey, I'm a natural born leader. I've always wanted to create something to, give back to the world and just show people my creative abilities and just create something that can create an economic impact where I'm at. And and so I started working there. I just started doing the work, and then my mentor, his name was Corey Anderson. I started connected with him a lot more, and then he just was like, "Hey, you're very well spoken. I can tell you're the leader of the crew here." And so they end up asking me that I want to do something called Our Community's Children, which
Mm.
is it's on the ninth floor of the City of Grand Rapids building. That's where
Mhm.
they actually host all of their city commission meetings. And so I went through this apprenticeship program for about 2 weeks, and they had like an $800 stipend. So, I was automatically like, oh, yeah, I
Mhm.
need that. And so I ended up getting a job training. I ended up meeting a couple of celebrities. I ended up getting like seminars from like people who run companies and end up building their own companies from the ground up and end up winning awards and things like that. And I'm just like, hey, this is what I want to do. And as I developed the skills, the last week of the program that I did, we all had the same opportunity. It was a yellow folder in front of us. And so I looked through the yellow folder, and I'm personally one of them people. I come from poverty, so I was like on Social Security growing up and everything goes. So I looked through it, and I seen an opportunity. It said $1,000 for individuals and $10,000 for nonprofits. And I'm like, I never
Mm.
had 10 bands, you know what I'm saying? I never had 10,000 myself. And so I didn't want to go for the little money. I wanted to go for the big money. So I ended up talking to the CEO of the nonprofit that I worked at, which was Steepletown Neighborhood Services. He told me that he liked my idea, and he was like, I'm willing to be the fiduciary if you end up winning and pitching. So he gave me the okay to pitch my business idea. I pitched against the biggest nonprofits in the city of Grand Rapids, the downtown YMCA. It was a bunch of major nonprofits, and I was one of the three winners of this $10,000 prize. And so,
Congratulations.
yeah, I appreciate it. And so that just led me to just creating my youth initiative, which was based off of stipend service learning, special events, and workshops. I had 10 kids in my program, and they were inner city youth that were in poverty, impoverished youth. just like me growing up, kids that I can relate to, because I don't like to water down my personality. I believe that when you're working with youth, you know how it is being an African American. If you flogging or you faking, people ain't gonna really want to rock with you. But if you be authentic and be yourself, then people love who you are. And so I
Mhm.
never watered down my personality or, anything like that. I was just always myself. And that's why I feel like a lot of youth related to me and they kept coming back. Nobody missed a day of the program. That led me to just developing the program. So we gave $450 for the stipends. We did
Mhm.
some service learning, so I ended up going out in the community, partnering with like the neighborhood organizations, because the neighborhood organizations actually have a direct access to the city government, and they actually give feedback on how to change things in different neighborhoods. And so that's why I wanted to work with a neighborhood organization, just so, youth and young adults and young black men, because, when you out there in the trenches or in the impoverished neighborhood, you might hear about your neighborhood organization, but you don't know the actual impact that they actually have on the
Right.
community. And so we worked with the West Grand Neighborhood Organization. I ended up becoming a committee member there, actually, after doing work there and doing work with them.
Mhm.
We also worked with a company called Junk King. It's a eco-friendly junk removal company. So they remove like things from people's homes. They remove like trees and like leaves and stuff like that, and they like reduce and recycle. And they actually have like eco-friendly junk removal trucks that they use. So it was just an eco-friendly, clean company that I really wanted to work with, and I ended up getting to work with them. We also work with a family-owned butchery called Lions and Sons Meats. It's a family-owned butchery over here on the west side of Grand Rapids, and so I ended up working with them, and we ended up doing like some work where we ended up helping him clean out his garage, and then he ended up having like artifacts from like World War II, like motorcycles and like helmets and stuff. So it was a crazy experience, and everybody enjoyed it. We also did some special events, so I wanted everybody to be on the same page, because in the workspace, everybody's not on the same page. Everybody kind of likes to think different and do their own thing. And so one of the things that I was able to do is I was able to um work with them. And sorry, I actually kind of lost my train of thought.
No, it's
But
okay. And
But
it's
I
so
end up
I,
we end up doing the special events where I wanted everybody to be on the same page. And so in order for everybody to be on the same page, every special event that we went to, if we
mhm.
had one no, we weren't going to go to that event. So everybody had to agree that's what they wanted to do, because as a collective, usually, like, if you in the city government, if you get more no's than yays, then most likely whatever business or whatever thing you want to do, it might not get passed. But if you get more yeses than nos, then things get passed. So I just wanted everybody to be on the same page, and the guys really liked it. And so right now
Yeah.
I'm at the point of my business where I've been working on the operations side. A lot of people like, why you've been working on this for like 3 years and all you did was buy some hats and all of that. Like, where's the build and everything else? And I always tell people, well, COVID-19 happened, so that definitely slowed down a lot of different things for people. I'm one
Mhm.
of those people. I'm a July baby, so I'm into astrology. I'm a Cancer, and so I'm
Mhm.
one of those people that actually like to focus on the operations of sides. Like, I want my business to run without me having to run the business, so I can actually focus on building the business. A lot of people that build businesses, they spend a lot of time on building the foundations and having to work on the operations side. And so my goal was to just work on the operations and finding the best resources possible that I can find to actually help uh my corporation, move effectively and efficient as possible. And so I've kind of got the groundwork done, where now I'm working with the financial advisor on my 5-year projections. I just talked to a company that actually was that I want to offer a 401k, because I want to actually offer real equity. I feel like equity is something that a lot of city governments use and a lot of people use, but they don't really do anything that's really equitable. And so that was one of the things that I really wanted to do. And so I want to be able to offer people a 401k I want to be able to reinvest because I'm a L3C. It's called Jump Ahead L3C, and so we are different from your traditional nonprofit. We can actually usually like when a nonprofit gives money to another nonprofit, it's a tax write-off. But when a
Right.
nonprofit gives us not a tax write-off, when a nonprofit gives us an investment, we can give
Mhm.
them a return on investment for them for those dollars. So they can get money back, and then they can give that money that they were going to give to that nonprofit, but also see a return. So
Right.
we can give them a return on investment instead of them just getting a tax write-off. So the market is for investment for L3Cs is like $1 trillion. It's pretty high, other than the nonprofit pool where it's maybe a couple billion.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because that was going to be like one of my questions for you to speak a little bit more about Jump Ahead. So, what is the plan? What is it that you wish to do with that organization?
Well, my plan is to develop the uh, the economic the economic spectrum. I would say like the economics here in the city of Grand Rapids. I would actually like to create jobs for people of color, especially with with climate change and reducing carbon emissions. A lot of these factory jobs that uh, African Americans work at, like they cause health hazards. At least 5 million, I believe it was like, I might be wrong on my numbers. I actually had them, but I believe it was like 5 million or 8 million people die a year from just air pollution, and it's
Mm,
like it's like $5 trillion it costs for all that air pollution and stuff like that. So just imagine if we had eco-friendly jobs, green jobs, clean jobs that are actually able to help people stay alive, but actually help people stay healthy. And
mhm.
then imagine what we can do with that $5 trillion from the governments, and pouring that back into the community, pouring that back into infrastructure, into public education, and into employees, into the youth, and other nonprofits and other organizations that do good work.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing. Now, you have your hand in so many things. And so, do you feel like with this organization is something that you know is a need? And so this is something that you really want to do, or would you say that it's something that you are just passionate about specifically, and so that's why you want to do it?
No, this is something that needs to happen. This is something that needs to. I believe this is my life purpose. It's
Mhm.
crazy because I looked at my birth certificate. I was actually born at 111 in Chicago, Illinois, and
Mhm.
July 15th on 1994 is when they actually like published my birth certificate. And then when I actually filed for my company, it was actually July 15th when I actually filed my company through the state of Michigan. And so I was just kind of looking at the divinity and the synchronicities of my company. So I believe this is my life purpose. It's definitely a need. It's definitely a serious need because I'm trying to buy a school that was closed down by Grand Rapids Public Schools in 2012. The school has been closed down. So like a good
Mhm.
9 years, the school has been closed down. It's boarded up. It kind of reminds me of like go riding through like Detroit or Chicago and just seeing a
Mhm.
boarded up house. And it's just like, well, if I can develop a community center, I can create jobs. I can do workforce development. I can, have job training. I just looked at I just got an email from Express Employment Professionals, and they're partnering with over 50 corporations in West Michigan, and they're offering jobs from $16 to $32 an hour. And so
Mhm.
that's something that I want to tap into, that same pool of people. That I want to make sure that African Americans and Hispanics and Black and brown people are getting those job opportunities, because we don't always get those good jobs. We might see the flyer and it might say 16, but we might just get the 16 an hour jobs. We might not get that 28 hour, hour job and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that when I partner with these corporations or I reach out to them, that we're actually training people the proper way that they want to be trained, giving them the skill sets that they need to develop to get those salary jobs, and then making sure that we're taking people out of poverty.
Absolutely. That is beautiful. And you kind of answered my question in there because I was going to ask, would you say this organization will fulfill a part, if not all, of your life's mission? And you kind of answered by saying you feel like this is what you were called to do. So that is absolutely amazing. And so, speaking of missions, I noticed that it seems you've started a collection of awards for your ambition. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I actually won an award last year for my company, Jump Ahead O3C. I won I'm a member of Forbes the Culture, so when I went to the Forbes 30 under 30, because I was going to the city commission meetings. It's a funny joke that the city government and here in some of the commissioners say, but they tell me that I attend some of the meetings more than the commissioners do, and
Hmm.
so that just led me to just want to just go to the Forbes 30 under 30, because actually when I was growing up, I always knew I was going to be wealthy. I felt like I was going to be like a wealthy, like rich, famous person, to be honest. I told my family that since I was a kid, like I'm gonna be rich and famous and I'm gonna be wealthy. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I know I'm gonna get there. And
Yes.
so I me just hearing when I heard the city government talking about the Forbes article and everything else, and then the Forbes 30 under 30 came up, I'm like, well, I need to make sure that I get to the Forbes 30 under 30. And so I ended up going there. I ended up meeting some people. I ended up meeting the guy who I collaborated with, and they have like this hat patent. And a lot of people don't know about these hats, but they have strings on the hats because the hats tie around your head. Because when people do extreme sports, like you might go kayaking or you might go snowboarding or you might go like do some type of extreme dirt biking or something like that, and the hat actually ties around your head so you don't lose your hat, because somebody might do like a 360 trick in the air, then their hat just fly off and then they can't go get their hat, so the hats actually stay on your head. And so they also have a pocket in the inside, and so it was just a creative, innovative hat idea that I liked, and I liked the company, I liked the CEO, and I was just like, hey, I like to collaborate with you. And so I believe I've sold. I started selling hats in the Bridge Street Market, which is where my hats are available right now. I started selling them September, and
Mhm.
I sold only like 20 hats in the beginning of the year. I'm very optimistic because Coca-Cola actually only sold 19 bottles the first year that Coca-Cola was actually a company. And so I
Mhm.
sold one more hat than they sold a product of Coca-Cola. So I stay optimistic and just think about things like that. And so I know eventually I'm gonna be worldwide and just moving things. But yeah, I'm definitely always optimistic. And yeah, I end up winning an award last year, the
Mhm.
Respect the Hustle Community Hustler of the Year award. I ended up it's crazy because when I went to the Forbes 30 under 30, I found out about Forbes the Culture, which is actually a branch of Forbes. It's Forbes, but it's for Black and brown entrepreneurs and people that want to be world leaders and be able to contribute. Because usually Forbes is a very upscale, well-known worldly magazine, and some of the richest people in the world are always there. And so that's just a platform that I always wanted to be on. And so I ended up getting in the Forbes last year. I had my first Forbes featured last year on the election, and it's talking about small businesses and how COVID-19 has affected small businesses. And I talked about African Americans, how we might get banking loans, but we might have a higher interest rate, and then we probably might that interest rate might definitely help us. It won't help us, but when it's so high, it definitely makes us more prone to be in debt with the bank and possibly go out of business. So I was able to talk about problems in the Black community and problems with the financing and banking system and policies.
Absolutely. Wow. That is amazing. And so I know I'm trying to keep up because you got a lot going on. But that's awesome. But I know that it seems you're very heavily involved in politics. What sparked your interest there?
Well, I've always been politically smart, not politically correct. I like to say things how they are, and so I when I was younger, I always wanted to know, like, because I used to stay in Kentwood, Michigan, and so I was wondering, like, where's the city commission and where do they have those meetings? I never knew. And so when I actually started to work at Steepletown Neighborhood Services, they actually brought me to the city commission, and that's where I got to find out like where the city government was and where I stayed at. And I was like, all right, this is how I get involved. This is how I meet the mayor. This is how I talk to the commissioners. This is how I get my voice heard. This is how I get everything go up and going. And so I've always just felt like I could be an influential person in politics. Plus, that's where the power is. I'd be lying to you if I say I didn't want to be powerful and influential and use that power for the greater good to help people, but also have power. I'd be lying to you if I say I didn't want that. I surely do want that, but I want to use that power for good. But I definitely want the admiration from my peers, and so. Uh, I've always wanted to be in politics. I actually worked with a woman because I actually worked with a woman last year. Her name is Lily Chang Chotin. She
Mm-hmm.
was an Asian woman, and she actually ran for state representative in the 72nd district in Kentwood, Gaines Township, in Wayland. And so I helped her with her campaign from the day that she said that she was going to run. I was literally her ace boon coon. I was literally uh, I was everywhere with her. I was literally her bodyguard. I was that ride or die friend for her, and so I rode it out with her to the end. And she ended up losing. We got the DeVos's billionaires here. You know what I'm saying? Republic. I'm an independent, but I affiliate with both parties. But right now, I'm a Democratic precinct delegate for the precinct 17. So I run my precinct and I run my little side of town and my little 2,000 people that I delegate for. And so I do a lot of good work, but I've always been politically smart and just always wanted to be in politics and just found people that like me and let me be myself. That's the thing I really liked about her. And she let me be myself 100%. She had a couple side conversations with me about a couple things that I was posting on social media because I'm very bold. But she definitely let me be myself, and she's definitely going to run again. And the thing
Nice.
about it is, what I learned about politics is that I always like to say this because it's very true, but Caucasian people love to get black votes, but they don't like to see people of color in politics. And so that's something that I wanted to change. And that's why I ended up running. So then now you got a person that's going to be honest, and you can't run game on me because I already know I worked with someone on a state level campaign and seen how people didn't support her, and she still almost won with no support.
Wow. That's awesome. Oh my
And the thing
goodness.
about it is, the people that are actually the people that lost, she actually did better than every single person that lost, and she was the closest one, and she really didn't have all the support or the funding that they did.
Wow, that is crazy. Well,
Yep.
I hope that moving forward, I would hope for the best of luck with her. Um, and so one of the things too, I know that you mentioned that you really want to see some changes happen. So in the near future, politically, do you see a lot of, or do you foresee a lot of changes happening for like the Black and Brown community?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just in I was just in our Kent Dems meeting because I'm in Kent County,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's the Democratic Party that I affiliate with,
Mm-hmm.
and they actually have a committee for diversity and inclusion. I didn't want to be
Mm-hmm.
on the fundraising. I should have probably went for the fundraising committee because it's a lot of Caucasian males on that fundraising committee, and that's where the dollars go to, and that's who they choose to support with the dollars within the party that they can give to. And
Mm-hmm.
so I probably should have went that way, but I really just wanted to influence the inclusion, the diversiveness of black people, because like I said, they want to see people of color in politics, but they don't want to see us in politics, but they want our votes. And so I was one of those people who were just like, y'all not funny, y'all. I'm gonna let black people know if you're a Caucasian candidate that is for black people, or you just want our votes and don't and just disregard us once you get into that office. And so I definitely hold people accountable, and I'm a person of high moral and integrity. And so one thing I don't play about is character. So I always like to meet people with a high upstanding moral character. And so I just like to hold people to a standard and make sure that they're not forgetting about us once they get into that office. I actually am working with a woman right now. Her name is Emily Bridgeson, and she's running for mayor of Kentwood. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually working on a mayoral campaign right now. I've been
Mm-hmm.
doing some work with her. And people been telling me to run for mayor of Grand Rapids when Rosalind Bliss is done.
Hmm.
She's the mayor right now. She's the first female mayor. The woman that I'm working right now is a Caucasian woman. If she wins that seat in Kentwood, she'd be the first female mayor. So I'm definitely still involved in politics, even though I'm a precinct delegate. I'm still, working with the high end other levels of politics just so I can get that experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, I listen, okay, I don't know how you do it, but when you're passionate about something, it's a small thing to a giant. So I
Yep.
get you. But I know too that last year was really heavy. It was a very difficult year, especially with, a lot of the killings of Black people. And so how was your energy at that time?
You know what? I'm from Chicago. My cousin was actually killed by the state police in Illinois. And so I didn't go to his funeral. I wanted to go to his funeral, but it was a Donald Trump rally in Muskegon that day, the same
Mm-hmm.
day as my cousin's funeral. And I felt like I was supposed to go there just because I want to be able to. I know I wasn't going to be able to directly do anything about that, but I just felt like my energy and my presence needs to be felt in that space where I can get on like national TV and talk about that. So I actually got an interview from MSN, NBC, like Detroit, and I got to talk about my cousin getting killed by state police. So I'm all about defunding the police or re-imaging police departments and reinvesting that money into resources or a community or housing. Definitely am about defunding the police, and it's not just about because my cousin passed away, but just the amount of African American people that have died by the hands of police officers and nothing really happens. They just get a couple days off and they still get to keep their job, and you got those police unions and things like that that just make sure that people are they just got these police unions and that just make sure that they protect the police officers, but it seems like they're too worried about protecting the police officers and their jobs than the citizens, and their job is to protect us. And I really want to bring education to people of color because we're actually supposed to be policing the police. The police aren't supposed to be policing us as much. We're actually supposed to be helping run the police departments. And so that's one of my goals is to eventually probably run for mayor. I might. It depends really on who's actually going to run because I don't want to step on the toes of commissioners that are born here that has already been paving the way and want to do that. But I feel like
Mm-hmm.
with the economic impact that I'm going to have with my company, that I can show them I can do it a little bit better than them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so sorry. I just have like a quick interrupt. I am so, so sorry. I tried to wait until um
I need
nobody
to.
was on.
I actually need to put my phone on the charger so it doesn't die during this interview.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. I got you. We do this. And I'm sure this part will be cut out of the interview on the website, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Um, but I understand that, and that is amazing work that you're doing. And so I wanted to ask too, because I noticed on your Instagram you posted a couple pictures where you did join a few protests around that time. What was the energy like there, and what would you say was the overall goal?
Oh man, it's crazy because I stay in the city of Grand Rapids where actually Breonna Taylor was born, and so I've actually sat with her family. I know her family. I'm connected with them on Facebook. I don't have their direct numbers, but if I wanted to, I could probably get it and have a better relationship with them. But I have a pretty good relationship with them. I've always been, I would say, like a more hood Martin Luther King. I would say like I'm the hood MLK. You know what I'm saying? I'm peaceful. I love the protest. I love to speak. I love to enlighten people on how to get involved with city government and help their voices get heard. The energy has been crazy. It's an organization called Justice for Black Lives, and they started to like lead the protest and started to march and rally and get a whole bunch of troops. And they had congressmen, they had King County commissioners, they had man, people of all walks of life and politics at their protests and rallies and marches and stuff like that. So the energy was definitely crazy. We sat there and protested in front of the police departments. I've witnessed riots and everything else happen here in the city of Grand Rapids. So it's definitely been crazy. The energy's been crazy, especially Breonna Taylor being born here. There's actually a street dedicated to her called Breonna Taylor Way, which is Justice for Black Lives.
Uh,
Actually, got the city of Grand Rapids to actually give her something in the memory. So it's the street called Breonna Taylor Way here in the city of Grand Rapids. That's right down the street from the police department,
mhm.
and they actually led the way for that. So it's been crazy. I've been able to meet her family. I've been able to speak about her and police violence and police brutality and just reinvesting in the community and giving us the
Mhm.
resources that we need to really flourish and create that economic impact that we want to see.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow, that's awesome. And it's so crazy because you keep mentioning Grand Rapids, and at one period in time, I lived there, but it was for like 2 years. And like I live in Lansing, so that's normally I don't get people from Michigan. Like when we do interviews, it's always somebody in Atlanta or something like that. So it's really dope to have an interview and be able to interview somebody that's really doing something in this community because a lot of times I feel like there's not so much done in the state of Michigan. You don't really see a lot of stuff going on in the state of Michigan like that. So what you're doing is absolutely outstanding.
I
Um,
appreciate that. I understand it too because Michigan isn't one of those upscale states. Michigan is very behind in technology, and it's a lot of
yeah.
you got to have those entrepreneurs that are extremely bold and innovative that really want to push for change. And so uh, I actually have the same birthday as Nikola Tesla, the guy who Elon Musk named his cars after. So I feel like I have like that same innovative, renewable energy, sustainability type of mind, and I've
Mhm.
definitely been helping people with different projects and going to different seminars and talking about solar energy and renewable energy and geothermal and just trying to educate the Black community on about those same things too. So
Absolutely.
I'm about it. I'm definitely about it.
Hear that. I absolutely hear you on that. Now, to bring it full circle, what would you say? Well, you seem to work with youth a lot. And so, what would you say has been some of your favorite collaborations with organizations geared towards youth and why?
Well, I would say my favorite collaboration that I did was working with maybe I mean Steepletown is where I started. Um I would say maybe Junk King was the one that I really liked because I was able to get kids from the city of Grand Rapids that might not have. I'm sure everybody has left the city of Grand Rapids and went to like other cities, but have they ever really been able to do work outside of another city? So we were actually able to ride in the eco-friendly junk removal trucks and go to different cities and do like eco-friendly junk removal work and like waste removal work and stuff like that. And so
Mhm.
that was probably my favorite thing because we actually got to work on like removing like trees and helping build the environment up and showing kids like why helping clean up the environment is a good thing. And we had some of them got tips and got paid just for doing the work on top of the stipend that we gave them. So that was probably my favorite collaboration. I'm also in talks right now with the Champion brand itself, the Midwest account, because we are here in the Midwest. I'm looking to try to get an official collaboration with my brand and Champion brand. So they actually showed me how I can use Champion brand because you can't just buy. I can't just go on a third party website that sells Champion and then slap my logo on and try to sell it in the stores. I'll get sued. And so I actually was attended a seminar that I seen on Facebook and
Mhm.
got to talk to the account executive for Champion, and she actually stays in Chicago where I'm from, and so she was telling me she sees a lot of people wearing Champion there in Chicago. I was like, well, I got a cool logo, and I had a one of my friends who was a graphic designer at Ferris State because I used to go to Ferris State University. I had her design me some new designs for like clothing, and so I sent her the the account executive for Champion my new designs, and she said that they were cool. So she liked them, and I got good feedback. Push that. I can't wait for people to actually see like my new designs, and it's a couple more awards that I'm hoping to win. They got it's like a retail. It's called Retail X, and they're in like a collaboration with another company. And in August, they'll be giving out awards. So I'm hoping I get enough nominations where my brand is recognized as one of the winners, where I can go in Chicago, because I really want to be able to develop this in Chicago, where I'm originally from, and be able to build
Hmm.
the economy there and stop violence there, which is definitely needed, especially with all of the things that I'm hoping to do with my community center, which is workforce development and job training skills, but also offering amenities like basketball, esports, 3D printing. Esports is $1 billion uh, market by itself. And so that's something I'm actually in collaboration and partnership with the Michigan Esports High School Federation, which is actually has 33 schools across the state of Michigan playing interstate esports. So we got high schools playing esports as a sport now. And so I'm in partnership with that corporation, which is actually helping me going to help me once I develop my community centers, kind of build out the esports rooms, and then I'm hoping to have esports teams where I have youth playing professional esports, uh, and hopefully winning some tournaments, and also getting esports clubs and getting other schools in the city of Grand Rapids to eventually become interstate esports players, and then having middle schools having esports clubs, because they actually can't play the interstate, but as long as we get in the clubs and they have their grades, we can motivate more kids to, play video games, because a lot of kids can't wait to get home and play that game. But if you got the games in school, and they got to have the grades to do that, I know it'll motivate them more. So
Absolutely.
that's what I'm working on right now, and I'm excited for
Yes, I'm excited for you. That is amazing. And so I
it.
know you mentioned so many things that you're involved in. And I know that in order to make these type of moves, it requires lots of determination. What other characteristics would you say you've had to develop in the course of your journey?
Whew, I would say persistence,
Hmm.
courage, uh, dedication. I would
Hmm.
say benevolence. I would say um it's so many patience, for sure, for sure. Being patient with people, just because in the African American community, people will bash you and not support you, and they won't even know what I'm trying to achieve or what's even going on in the community, or like the health hazards and things like that. So it's really just being patient, definitely having the patience, because everybody doesn't understand the policies or politics, or how politics affect their everyday life. And so
Yeah.
I would definitely say patience has definitely been the biggest thing that I've always had, but something that I've definitely had to grow more and more and more of.
Absolutely. I completely understand. I think too, people don't really understand, like when you're a public figure and you're doing the type of things that you're doing, you're interacting with people all day long, and people don't understand how draining that is, because you're dealing with all these different types of energies and all that stuff. So it definitely, I could see patience being one of the number one things that is required, especially over a length of time. So that is like I said, outstanding. I absolutely applaud you for what you're doing. Um, and so I wanted to ask, because you do have these many goals, what would you say is the ultimate vision that you see for yourself?
Oh, well, I see myself building community centers across the world.
Hmm.
I want to start here in Michigan. If I could have started in Chicago, I would have started in Illinois. I see me
Hmm.
building my first center here in one of the worst cities for economic development.
Hmm.
And then 3 years after I've been able to show profitability and the economic impact, I've talked to franchisors and franchisees and people who franchise businesses and people who sell franchises. I want to be able to get that franchise disclosure agreement. and put everything in there where I can be able to talk to people about having the flexibility of running the centers how they want to, but also having that same structure that I have, because I'm very flexible. So I think everybody will like the structure that I have and the company culture that I'm hoping to create for Jump Ahead L3C. But I see myself developing infrastructure in countries that don't have infrastructures, in third world countries where they don't even have like sewer systems or renewable energy or sustainable businesses. And so I see myself kind of being that company that goes across the country and actually help them with the wages, proper wages for them to take care of themselves. Because a lot of major companies here in the United States expands internationally or globally, but then pay the people the minimum, not even minimum wage, just the absolute minimum that they can, and then come with all of the profits and don't even pour any of those profits back into those people. They just pour it into the corporations and the CEOs and everybody at the high end. But I'm willing to trickle down all of the profits and stuff like that. Of course, I want to be able to keep some money for myself because of all of the work and everything I had to do to build the corporation, but definitely not selfish, definitely willing to give more than I get, to be honest.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And so, where can you please tell people where they can find you? Well, before we get to that, is there anything that we need to be looking out for with you? Because you have so many projects going on.
uh, so I be looking out for the NAACP Grand Rapids. I'm on the Environmental Justice Action Committee, and there is a Grand Rapids. It's a what is it? Grand Rapids, Michigan, the Grand Rapids Climate Action Committee. So they actually are pushing for reducing carbon emission with the United States Green Building Council 2030. And so I actually got the NAACP Grand Rapids to get on there because there wasn't a lot of Black representation. I would literally sit through those meetings, and I would probably be one of two Black people there. I know that organization was willing to do the outreach to the Black community, but we need actually representatives in the Black community to do that education, just because I know more people are more prone to listen. And so
Mm-hmm.
be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for me winning more awards, especially in the environmental sustainability space. I actually just had an interview with the West Michigan Sustainability Forum. They actually wanted to highlight me on Black Excellence and Black History Month and the work that I'm doing. And so I've been getting a lot of highlights this year. The fruits of my labor are definitely coming back 100-fold, and it's definitely been a a, a, a confidence boost, but also a just a more appreciation for myself, and just loving myself more, and just hopefully getting people to love themselves more, and inspiring people to chase their dreams and don't be scared. Even if you're scared, do it scared. For
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Absolutely. I completely understand. Wow, that is so amazing. And so please tell everybody where they can find you and also how they can donate to Jump Ahead.
Okay, so I actually don't have it on my web. I would have to. Well, you can go to Jump is JUMPED
Mm-hmm.
ahead.com. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely going to have to get my website updated, but you can go on there maybe like within like a month or so,
Mm-hmm.
and donate to there. I will have the donations page. Um, you can go buy a hat if you're in the city of Grand Rapids. Eventually, we'll be able to expand into more stores. I'm hoping to expand into Myers and other corporations. You can buy a
Mm-hmm.
hat. We actually donate the proceeds. So when I sold the 20 hats and I made my money back, because I actually bought, when I started off with the hats, I spent like $400, and I maybe bought like 40 hats or something like that, and I actually made my money back from the hats, and then I end up proceeding. So we actually proceed. So we actually give the money back from the merchandise that we sell to other nonprofits that's doing workforce development, that's working on infrastructure and systematic racism and power and influence and mental health, which is definitely a big thing in the Black community. So we give the proceeds back, percentage of the proceeds to nonprofits that are doing the work that aligns with our visions and goals.
Nice. Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. I'm very inspired and very proud of what it is that you're doing. And you know, if I ever stop in Grand Rapids sometime soon, I'll definitely be there to pick one up.
You can
But
find them in the Bridge Street Market. It's on the west side of Grand Rapids. It's a connecting. It's a store of Myers, and eventually when I get more merchandise and a little bit more funding, I'll
Mhm.
definitely have more merchandise. I definitely want people to be looking out for the collaboration that I'll have with Champion. We'll be putting our logo and branding on Champion clothes, and so it'll be look a lot more cooler. The designs are. I've definitely never got any negative feedback from the new design, so I think people will really like it.
Awesome, awesome. Oh my God. Well, I am so honored and thank you so much for allowing us to be able to do this interview with you. And again, can you just remind the viewers where we can find you?
Yep. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Jump Ahead L3C. You can find me on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, type in Jump Ahead L3C. You
Mm-hmm.
can find me on Twitter at Jump Ahead L3C. You can go on the website at jumped, as in
Mm-hmm.
jumpedahead.com. And if you want any merchandise, the hats that we have right now, just the first drop of any merchandise that I've ever made. It's in the Bridge Street Market. Definitely hoping to expand into the Meyer stores, and I actually have a connection where I can. I'm looking to start to find out how I can expand to Africa, which Africa has a lot more people in Africa than the United States, and so I have a connection there where I'm looking to eventually import and export goods to Africa to be able to build up the economy there too and have a footprint there.
Wow, very commendable, very much. Well, thank you so much. Again, I appreciate you so much for allowing us to do this interview, and hopefully we can stay in touch.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys being willing to interview me because this is definitely helping me build my confidence up. I'm very confident, but this is definitely a platform that I appreciate you guys letting me be on, and I definitely like to keep in touch with you guys, especially with the process of me developing my corporation and eventually having to get the funding and buying the school and doing a renewable energy innovative uh, putting solar panels and geothermal and just showing people that we African Americans can. Honestly, I hate to say it, but African Americans can do it better than Caucasian people if they're given the opportunity to show we can. So I'm not trying to say that in a bad way, but some people don't really like to give us that. They don't really like to give us the resources for us to show what we can do, and so I'm definitely one of those people that's pushing to show that we can do it just as good or better than people, but I don't
Absolutely.
mean that in a bad way.
Understood, understood. Yeah, maybe we could do a follow-up interview in a couple months just to see how everything is going.
Oh yeah, I definitely would like that. I know I'll be a lot more further. I actually just got highlighted in Forbes The Culture where I talked about some of these things. And so it was crazy. I got in Forbes last year. Now I got my highlight in Forbes The Culture. I believe they release their newsletters every Tuesday, so I'll be the next member highlighting Forbes the Culture, and I'm excited for that. And I'll definitely be able to illuminate my ideas and the economic impact that I want to have here in the city of Grand Rapids, in the state of Michigan, and eventually across the world in other states.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Well, congratulations.
Thank
And
you so much.
absolutely. And we wish you the best of luck. And I'm sure that we'll be checking in, like I said, within the next couple of months just to see how everything is going. But in the meantime, like I said, thank you again. And we hope that you have an amazing night.
Thank you. You guys too. Stay blessed. And thank you for the platform that you guys created. It's cool to meet people that create platforms. I see you guys have a great following of people that get interactive. I've honestly seen I actually know I've seen that you guys highlighted Terry and Jamal, who's actually helped me with some of my business, Pitch Deck, who created the first black-owned brewery here in Grand Rapids. I actually knows those guys, and so they've actually helped me with parts of my business and tried to give me resources or gave me feedback. So it's cool to see those guys on this platform too. So I'm definitely liking the work that you guys do and the people that you guys have on this platform.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we look forward to having so many more people like yourself.
Thank you. I hope it is a lot more D Joneses. Like people tell me we need more D Joneses because that my nickname is D Jones. My real name is Deandre. But people always tell me, I wish we had more D Joneses, and I hope Jump Ahead L3C creates those D Joneses or the next whoever it is. I just want people to be the best versions of themselves and without having their creativity blocked and with 100% of being the best versions of themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely, completely understood. You've been such an amazing guest. And as I said, I will be sure that we follow up in the near future. And again, I just hope that you have an amazing future and that you have a wonderful night.
You too.